It's Easter morning, and I'm just getting a little bit of footage just to record some of the hawks' activity. They have been doing nest work down in this south part of the park where all these willow trees are. There's one of the hawks, I'll zoom in here, in this tree right here. The other one I think is around somewhere, but I'm not sure exactly where. And they've been bringing in sticks and doing nest work on this spot right here. It's an excellent spot with lots of very sturdy branches from the build on. But the interesting part about this is that it's this is a daycare center here. And you know, once the weather gets warm, there's lots of kids doing all kinds of stuff in here. They have done a little bit of nest building in the same area in previous years, but they've never used that nest. They've always used another location here in the park. So I've always wondered whether that's because of the amount of human activity here, but we'll see. They seem more intent on using this area than I've ever seen before in previous years. So if we back up here, the other thing I'm not going to be too sure of is if they do use that nest location, whether once the willow trees grow in, it's going to be very difficult to see very well you know, what's going on in the nest. It might be hard to get a good view this year. Now if I pan over this way, so we're kind of now pointing northeast, we can see last year's nest tree, which is a big oak, and I've used, they have spent a little bit of time flying a couple of sticks up to here, but for the most part they seem to have just about ignored it. Not completely. I did see one fly up here for a few seconds yesterday, but compared to the amount of effort they've been spending in those willow trees along the south edge, it's not much. But they did successfully fledge 2 young from this tree last year. And if we just zoom in a little bit, you can see last year's nest. It's actually a pretty sad looking thing. It seemed to kind of slump a little bit at the end of last year. And again, since they haven't done a lot of work on it, it really seems like it's not in that great shape. But if they decided to, they could, well, you know, even in a few days, they could build that thing up and try to make use of it again. And now if I just kind of pan around the rest of the park, I can actually see unfortunately evidence of a lot of the tree loss that we've had. There's 2 large trees right where I'm pointing that used to be there. They were dead, but they were the largest trees by far in the park. And unfortunately they're just gone now because the basically dead ash trees that have been removed either by the city or by folks because of the emerald ash borer. Their first nest site in the 3 years before last year was right down in this whole area, and you wouldn't even know if you didn't go up and look at the big stump that there was another huge ash tree that they used you know, in 2012 through 2014. And now if we just pan this way, this is the stand of willow trees that they're using, or maybe intent on using now. So we will see what happens.